So I get this question a lot from my private students, which is how do I get a better ear as a music producer? And it's a great question because I've tend to found advice on the internet is pretty terrible when it comes to this topic, even though it's so important. The reason why is because the advice could either be really general, like, just play more music, dude. Just, do what I'm doing on the piano effortlessly and it's all going to work out. Or really specific granular advice, like go on this website, do these really small intervallic exercises for an hour a day for 3 years, and then you'll have a better ear. Those two pieces of advice, the really general and the really specific, they're not wrong, but they're not really that practical. What I tend to tell students is start with understand the number system. I'll link down below to that lesson you can check out there. That's a prerequisite. Understand that certain chords come from a chord family, from the key signature that you're writing in, and all the other variations and modulations can come from there. If you understand that, then understanding how to train your ear becomes kind of natural. It's not really something you have to necessarily practice. It's actually in the method of how you're understanding the music that you're creating. And I'm going to show you an example of that right here. So I'm going to go to my Midi chord essentials library. This is linked down below. This is almost 700 different Midi clips, all based off of famous chord progressions that are used in modern music, including the 2-5-1 or the 2-5-1-6 used in jazz, right? So jazz uses the 2-5-1-6. So if I go over here, I just have a basic Midi clip variation we can listen to right now. So that's a 2-5-1-6, just basic triads. Your ear will start to recognize that as a 2-5-1-6. And then if we go to a variation like something like this, over time, your ear will hopefully recognize that that is actually the same chord progression. It might sound different. It might be voiced very differently with a much more open style voicing than the closed down triads that we saw earlier. It might be much higher in pitch. It might also feature extensions in those notes that are used in the chords, but nevertheless, it's still a 2-5-1-6 chord progression. Again, we'll listen to them again. Now the other. Again, they sound different from one another. They're different ideas, but they're using the same harmonic progression. If you were to take a music theory class in college or high school, they have a term called reduction, or harmonic reduction, where they reduce, a piece by Mozart or Beethoven, and they reduce it to a chord progression, even though there might be arpeggios and melodies and counter melodies and all this stuff going on. And that's exactly what ear training for a music producer it's really relevant for, because we see so many examples of this in music. And when you listen to music, you'll start to hear the harmonic changes there as well. But I like using this Midi chord essentials library because it gives you countless different progressions from, famous genres or famous chord progressions used in those genres. And then it gives you tons of varieties that you can utilize in your own music. And even just listening to them, it trains your ear. So here we have a 4-3-2-1. Really simple. It's just slowly going down, right? You might recognize this chord progression from a lot of pop songs. Peaches by Justin Bieber uses this one. It's used a lot in R&B as well. Here's a variation. Another one. So notice how these are all starting to sound similar to one another, even though they're doing different things. Even with a relatively untrained ear, hopefully you're probably hearing this as, yes, they all sound like different ideas, but they're all sort of going down. And that might be because that's what that harmonic progression does. It goes from 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. And so you can have all these cool variations and you can use these in your music. That's what this library is for. But it's going to have variations based around that harmonic progression, right? So it's a really neat concept. This is one of the best ways to train your ear as a music producer. And you're also starting to understand like the harmonic or the chord progression DNA of popular music. I know that sounds like a weird sentence to say, but that's really what this does. And I find this is really useful for music producers, training your ear. It's understanding harmonic progressions, especially because you can apply it to so many different contexts rather than something really general or something really hyper-specific like intervals. Stick to the number system, get used to it. Watch that video down below if you haven't already. Make sure you understand these concepts. It's going to help you as a music producer, I promise you. I'll catch you all in the next video. Have fun making music.